Go for it.
The craziest thing that ever happened to me is, as an agent, we took over a very, very small book of business, a couple hundred policies, because an agent was leaving the company. And come to find out, not only was he stealing money from every client that he had, which was a nightmare when we started, to collect insurance. So obviously an odd situation and not the greatest way to start, but...
Insurance dudes are on a mission to escape being handcuffed by our agencies.
How? By uncovering the secrets to creating a predictable, consistent, and profitable agency sales machine.
I am Craig Pretzinger.
I am Jason Feldman.
We are agents.
We are insurance dudes.
It was a very big learning experience for us.
Crazy. Holy moly. Well, tell them who you are.
Hey, my name is Jennifer Haring, and I'm with the Jennifer Haring Agency in Fort Worth, Texas, and I am an insurance dude.
Woo! Nice. Woo! Yeah.
Okay, now I can take down the questions.
Oh my gosh. So this person was not only stealing from every single... Did you purchase the book?
God, no. We thought we were
okay.
Scratch agency, and our district manager came in and said, "Hey, I've got some great news for you. We have an agent that's leaving, and we're going to take his book of business and kind of give you a few of the policies and give this other new agent a few of the policies. Only thing is, you have to stay in his office for at least a year." And I'm like, okay, so what's the rent? Where is it? And it's in an older part of town. It's not a building I would have been in, but okay, great. We're scratched. We have no idea. I've never been in insurance before. I was in a different industry altogether and decided to jump in with both feet. And so I was like, perfect. This is wonderful. At least I'll have some clients and maybe I can do some cross-selling. Yeah, no, that at all.
So how did it work out?
Well, we spent 2.5, 3 months doing audits and finding money that wasn't there and getting receipts from clients and trying to help them prove that they had made payments. And he took mostly cash. So by the way, we have not taken a piece of cash in this office since we opened our office because of this. And then about 3 weeks into us having this agency, we get a major claim. It's a total loss fire claim. And come to find out, it's the agent who burned down his parents' house that he was living in, and it's an arson claim. They know it's arson from that agent. It was nuts. It was
allegedly.
It's one of the biggest claims we've ever had. And I mean, it was just ridiculous. They found accelerant in the house. I mean, they know it was
what?
Yes, I'm telling you. They couldn't prove it was him. He was out of town. But
my gosh.
So it was nuts.
Oh my gosh. Did they know that he was stealing from the clients when they put you in there?
Yes, that's why he was no longer with the company. They just didn't explain that to us.
So they had no moral problem throwing a lady in an office with a former person that was ripping everybody off and then just saying, "You deal with those people,"
and not telling you.
It was, hey, there's going to be service work. And here's the bonus. You get paid for the service work that you're doing here, because these weren't clients you brought in. You're going to take over the book and you're going to get paid for it. Talk about walking into fire. We just didn't know. We were naive. We didn't know. So it's okay. Some of them are gone. Some of them stayed. You know, the company did their part and paid back all the premiums that were stolen.
Wow.
If we couldn't prove it, they went ahead and kept them on the books and gave them credit for it. But it was crazy.
Oh, well, that's good. So then you're the hero.
Yes. It was just a lot of crap to get to be there.
Oh.
So that was our first experience in insurance. And we thought, oh my God, we left the car business because of crazy crap. And now I'm here. This is hopefully this is not how it works.
Great news. We're going to give you a bunch of clients. They may need a little bit of love.
Yeah, a little bit of love.
Some things happen. We won't get into it. No big deal.
Yeah. The agent's just no longer with farmers. They were asked to leave. Whoops.
Do you remember the point where you're so excited about, jumping into this. They're giving you free clients and all kinds of stuff. And then all of a sudden you realize, like, what was the time that you realized, like, wait, this guy was stealing? Like,
it was
that
day
means
one when it was day one because the phones started ringing. And this is when all these people were starting to get their notices of cancellation for not having paid their bills. And they're like, no, we paid. We paid with cash. We came in. Here's our receipt. And they'll have a paper receipt. But it wasn't like an official one. So
like written with a crayon.
It felt like. I was like, oh my God.
Receipt and the E's like backwards.
Yeah.
Like a lemonade stand.
Yeah, we pulled out of it pretty quickly, but I'm telling you that's a rude awakening. It certainly tells you what not to do when you get into business. So
wow.
Yeah, but that was our fun experience.
Well, tell us how you. Okay, so take us back earlier. How did you even get into insurance?
So my husband and I had just. And I was working for car dealerships at the time. I was an assistant controller and I had done everything. We had both been in car business for, 15 years at that point. And I was exhausted. I was there till 2 a.m. working on closing books. And I've got this little baby at home. And I'm like, there is no way I can continue to do this. And I worked so hard for these people. I worked this hard for myself. Oh my gosh, I could do it. So then we started kind of trying to figure out what industries we wanted to go into. And for some reason, my husband and I both came up with insurance on the same day. And he's a finance guy. And he's like, I call these people all day long looking for proofs of insurance. They've got it sweet. And I'm like, yeah, I was just thinking about that myself. So we started calling around and figuring out a little bit of wording that we needed to ask and found a district manager and the rest is history.
Wow. Awesome. So you dive in, you're getting inundated with these issues because of the cash receipts and all that stuff.
Uh-huh.
When did it like kind of turn and become fun? Like, cause I would guess that this wasn't awesome. Like it wasn't ideal to walk into.
No, it wasn't. Once we got that cleaned up, we started going out and marketing and doing the networking and getting in with mortgage agents. Cause that was still back when, you could walk in and give somebody cookies and still kind of get some business from them. And I wasn't one of those agents that harassed my friends and family. I refused to do so. I didn't do the 100 challenge or whatever it's called with every company. I'm like, I'm out. I'm not doing that. I'm not going to harass my
the Amway part of.
Yeah. So it was fun. I got to be part of the community and do things. And that's what I was excited about. And we had taken a small loan when we first started to help kind of offset because we jumped in, both of us, cold turkey, no income from two full. Ooh. So, we were hustling quite a bit those first few years. And I interviewed some of the really good agents in our district and asked them what they did and tried to emulate some of the stuff they were doing and got some really good advice. And then I got some not so good advice. It just kind of depends. And it was a long time ago. So different things worked at that time. We didn't have internet leads back then, so the best you could do was work on referrals and try lenders to really, really work with you. And that was where we got most of our business back then. And then the bottom fell out in 2007, 2008, and 80 or 90% of our mortgage people went bye-bye. And so, and when we first started with our carrier, it was like taking candy from a baby. They just had such good prices in our area that we happened to be coming into it at a really good time. And so we didn't realize how hard it was going to get, We've had several of those cycles since then, but it was a good time for us to jump in, and we were able to build some business.
Love it. And then the bottom fell out of that, and then mention some of the hard times, because I think that, as agency owners, we're in a hard time in California carrier. I think for all your carrier as well, for all carriers in California, but. And there's a lot of like, oh my gosh, I'm going to burn down the building or whatever. Well, not figuratively, not.
Please don't say that.
Yeah. Probably not that's probably what was on my mind actually.
Yeah.
Anyways. Yeah. So I hear, and I'm like, my piece of advice is and I've only been in here 6.5 years. So it's like, don't make any crazy moves. Like, this is a roller coaster. One day you're going to be the lowest. The next day they're going to be the lowest. It's always going to change. It's always flowing. It's moving. But guess what? Everybody has to have insurance. So.
Well, I think the hardest thing that we went with is there's two things that have held me back. I'll put it that way. One, I am a control freak. So I didn't grow because I wanted to handle everything on my own. I was so nosy. If somebody else was handling it, I could hear them in the other room. I would stop. I'd get up and go in there and try to help, because I knew better. I'm just that person. So it's been really, really hard to take a step back and try to realize that, okay, you can't do all this all by yourself. And I don't want to do it by myself anymore. I'm exhausted. I'm tired. I want to be able to grow and sit back and relax and say, no, that's not my job. You do it, but at first I didn't. The other thing that I had a really hard time with is I wanted the pat on the back from the district. I wanted them to tell me I was doing a great job. And I did, but I did that by getting awards that they wanted instead of by realizing that the awards that they wanted us to get is stuff that didn't have return income later. So it wasn't building my book. It was just making me look good for a year. When you're new and you're selling a bunch of life or doing a bunch of things back year after year to build your income, then you're new for 5 years because you're doing it over and over and over and over again. You're not building. So, we got all the accolades, we got the awards, we won the trips and all that stuff is great, except for I couldn't spend money on the trips because I had no money to spend.
Right.
I wasn't making any money. I remember freaking out when we were in the Bahamas because they had to take my debit card and put like $1,000 hold on it for the hotel. And I'm like, I don't know if that's going to work. When's that going to go back?
Right.
And that was in the first couple of years. So we did really well as far as the company was concerned, but it wasn't good for my business.
Right.
So it takes a while to get through some of that stuff. And if you know that going in, and if you have someone tell you, do what's right for you, not what's right for everybody else, stick with it, you'll be a lot more successful.
Yeah.
100%. I love that. That is probably one of the best pieces of advice anyone's ever given on here and I fell into that trap as well. And we tried to build ourselves up and got best in company and stuff. And then realized like, hey, luckily it coincided with actually growing, but there was a lot of stuff that was being told to do that just didn't make any sense.
Right.
And so we definitely have not hit best in company since that one time, because then it was like, I realized like, well, I would probably realistically 50% of the efforts are awesome. And then 50% of the efforts are just spinning wheels. Yeah. And it's like, man, if I just allocated that towards our actual business, not the company's actual business, but our actual business, will dominate. So, yeah.
Well, and I don't know about your company, but our company changes the rules every single year. I mean, it's every year. You can't keep up with what they're going to change this year versus last year, even in compensation and how bonuses are paid out. And so when you think that you've got it figured out, I promise there's a surprise around the corner. So, we diversified a little bit because a really, really, really old contract, and we've got an independent commercial agency for things that they don't write. And so I focused on that for a while, and that really grew. But my personal line side of business was just falling apart. So that's what we've been focusing on the last 2 years, is bringing that back around. And Teledudes has helped. I mean, it's been amazing. I cannot stress enough how much our business has grown since July when we started with you guys. And I just keep thinking to myself, oh my God, why didn't I find this process sooner? Why didn't I do this sooner? Why? It's so much easier. It's accountable. It's scalable. I look at the numbers now and I'm only 5-6 months in, and I'm like, holy crap, if I can somewhat duplicate this over and over and over again, which your system can, then geez, I could have been doing this for 10 years, 15 years and making bukus of money. And,
so. But it's definitely not all roses, right?
It's not all roses. Oh my gosh. We've had problems even since we've been working with you guys. A couple weeks ago, we had like a dialer issue and pivot. But the way that the program is set up, or at least if you're following it on a daily basis and really paying attention to all the things that as a manager I should be paying attention to daily, you can tell what's broken immediately, and then you can go work on it. So it's not like you're going, oh, sales are down, I wonder why. I don't understand. And it's a month later. I can look at it on a daily, a weekly, and a monthly basis. And then, I can look long term too. But if I'm doing it on the daily basis, like I have been doing, then I know if it's my telemarketers. I know if it's the sales aren't going through. Do I need to talk to my LSP? Do we need to listen to some calls together? Do we need to do more training? Are we losing clients on the back end? Do I need to talk to service? Because our new business is up, but our service numbers are dropping. What's going on there? And we can use the same system even with our service people. It's just, and our commercial people that we're dealing with. It's just, it works on all levels. And for agents that are struggling and they're small and they want to get bigger and they're tired of doing it on their own, this is a really, really good way to do it.
Jennifer, you sound like you've been drinking the Kool-Aid.
Listen, I am so excited. I drank the whole damn pitcher.
But you didn't drink the Kool-Aid the entire time. So let's get back. I want to get through some of the old Jennifer. So old Jennifer started by
first off, Craig. Come on, dude.
well, we always say old Craig.
Don't
new
say
Craig and old Craig.
And a woman's name ever.
Yeah, well, we can say old Craig.
Yeah.
Did I say old?
You said
I didn't mean to say old. I meant cold. So, cold,
that's great.
Maybe that's not better. Let's look at Jennifer prior to having success with internet leads. What did Jennifer think about internet leads, and what were some of the things that maybe you thought or the perceptions you had about them, and how maybe they weren't entirely accurate?
Well, I have the same thoughts that everybody else does. These suck. Oh my God. I've been buying these leads and nothing's happening and my people are calling, which is not true. And every lead is a bad phone number, which is not true. Everybody that we call says they already have insurance, which is not true. Or they just bought, which is not true. I mean, if you want to find a rebuttal, I can tell you it's not true.
But why did you think those things?
Because.
Oh no. We lost her. Oh, there you are.
Yeah.
You're back.
Sorry. I had a call come in. I'm on my phone.
That's all good.
Turn it off. That's what my producers are telling me, and those are the people that are working the lead. So of course, that's kind of what you're thinking. And you're thinking, okay, well, maybe it's just this lead vendor. Let me get a different lead vendor. And that's part of it. It's not all of it. It is some of it. But for the most part, we're expecting someone that is a salesperson to pick up the phone and dial systematically, which they're not going to do. And also have them deal with people hanging up on them or not even reaching people. So they're not getting to talk to people. There are two different kinds of people in our agency. There are salespeople and there are service people. Salespeople like to talk. They have a much more outgoing personality. They are challenging with clients that say they don't want something. They will rebuttal them. Then we have our service people, and they are hand holders. And I mean it. You treat people like you want to be treated and like you would do for your family. That's how our service people are. And for, 15 years, I tried to make that one person or two people and mix those jobs. You can't do that. You just can't. They're different personalities. So we're expecting somebody to pick up internet leads and call on them, not get a hold of anybody all day long, or maybe get a hold of somebody that yells at them. Salespeople can't take that. They just can't. They need the pat on the back. They need to talk to people. They need to have the challenge. So when we switched to this, where we had telemarketers and they were just giving them people to talk to, my sales producers' attitudes totally changed. Oh my God. They're like, oh, I love this. This is awesome. We need to keep doing this. This is fabulous. And you can see it, and they're productive and their numbers are productive. And, it's definitely worth separating those jobs.
So what was their activity prior to that? Like, how many quotes were they getting a day? I don't even know if you were tracking that back then,
I wasn't tracking it as much. And that's part of it. I wasn't really managing what I was expecting. So I have to take that on me. That was all me. I'm like, look, we bought you some leads. Go call them, you know? So they probably called him a few times, didn't reach him. And I'm talking like 1 or 2 days. They're not going to call him for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days.
Right.
They're not going to do that. That's part of the system. And it makes a huge difference, you know?
And it's not you, like it's all of us. There's not one agent on the planet, unless they came from a sale, they were part of like a sales team.
Mm-hmm.
There's not one person on the planet that came in and said, "Oh, I'm actually going to track all this stuff," because you don't get it. Like there's, you know,
you don't know what to track.
We tracked quotes, and we did what we call a save a deal meeting. So we'd look at the quotes and we'd go through quotes and say, okay, well, what happened with this one? Well, I guess now I think to myself, well, that's stupid. It doesn't matter what happened with it. It didn't close. Let's move on. You know, you know, we can put them on a list. We'll call them somewhere along the way, or try again in 6 months. But let's move on to somebody who wants it now. You know.
Yeah.
So it's a different mentality all the way around.
100%. Yeah. And I know we all go through this, and I go through this. Craig goes through this. Every single person goes through you're doing all of this activity, and it's just every once in a while you get sideways, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, kind of like what you were talking about early on in the program. And I think you just get used to the roller coaster over time, but overall you're seeing better results. But like even Craig was having an issue the other week. I mean, I was sideways.
Monday. It was literally probably 4 days ago.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sideways a couple months ago when I found out I couldn't sell. I mean, you need that, like, to talk to somebody about it.
Well, one of my favorite things about this group is the Wednesday meetings. And I do mean that, because it's not just you guys talking, I love talking to you. It's great. It's wonderful. But all of the participants everybody participates. You have other agents from all over the country that have a different perspective and a different idea. And we're all there working the same system, trying to make it better. And everybody in the group has been very willing to give additional support or additional information or help with training, or, there's a couple different phone systems that are being used and different people track them different ways. And so when we have those meetings, I always lead with something, whether it's something small or something big, or like, oh crap, I didn't even think about that. I'm learning stuff every week. So I do not miss that meeting. If I have to miss it, I cringe about it. I don't want to miss that meeting. So I try not to schedule anything on Wednesdays anymore, just so I make sure that I don't get pulled in crazy. But you've got some really great members and some rock stars in that group. I'm certainly, 100%. On the baby scale end of this thing, looking forward to ramping up. But you got some guys in there that have been doing it, work it, understand it, and they are there to help. And I think it's amazing to have that group.
Yeah, I do too. A couple things too is